round 4 of the Infinity GT Manufacturer Series, back in the GT3 cars, and we're at Alsace Village in France, one of the fake circuits if you will, and everyone seems to get away well. We might replay the start because a little bit of this was quite interesting. So yes, Idol got a really good jump at the front, jumped the VW. Terry's got a good start as well, and then there's an absolute melee of cars in the middle. The VW's again making an absolute launch. The Subaru's not getting away very well, and myself and Mercedes got away nicely, but I am bombarded in the middle of the pack. So let's go and have a look at that start from the back of the grid. Let's give you a bit of a better idea as to how that one played out. So we're on board with Gemini at the back. You can see myself and the Mercedes ahead getting away well. The Porsche Fat Pickles bro bogging down, Tricky Tree bogging down as well. Mental Mike not getting a great start in the Jag. But yeah, a lot of different cars having mixed success at the start. Back to the action then, as we see ASR Idol escaping away. Tempest has worked his way up to P2 with Infinity Decals in third, Surf Rev in the Aston Martin in fourth. Myself and the Mercedes getting slung about out wide, but I managed to get a move made down the inside of the Toyotas. The Toyotas then run wide, and Sea Trickle and Marshall collide, and they are, oh, at least one of those is off. Marshall is down here in, this is Marshall's POV, so he goes out very wide anyway. He just gets collected and onto the gravel. Around he goes, unfortunately, for Marshall. So that's Marshall down at the back of the grid. We've got James Harben in 15th, Fat Pickles bro in 14th. Not great qualifying for the Porsche driver, who is currently leading the championship, but it is a long race. We've got 50 minutes ahead of us tonight, and there is doubtless time for things to change. Idol making a good getaway at the top in the Jag. There is a little bit of a fight kicking off for third. We've got Infinity Decals, Surf Rev, Has 91 involved in that. Ice Chance not too far away as well, with Mult 36 and myself. So I'm currently chasing down the VW after making up 2 positions from the start. A little bit further back, most things sort of calm for the time being, but it's not the way the entire race is going to go, I'm afraid. It is quite a spicy one, this one. Not necessarily full of controversy, just full of little twists and turns and strange stuff going on. So it's quite a nice thing to. It's quite a good and entertaining race to watch. As lap 1 comes to an end, it is a long lap here at this circuit. It's very twisty and turny. So we see Surf Rev comes a cropper with the pit the wall glitch. It is the wall, but it's got a very abrupt ending to one of it, so you need to steer clear of this basically. Unfortunately, that puts Surf Rev right at the back of the grid with quite big damage as well, so he's got all the work to do. Myself in P8, Mutt has managed to get himself up to 5th now with all that going off. Ice Chans, Phil, there's myself, there's Gemini involved in this fight as well, so I don't really like being stuck in too much traffic at the start, so I'm trying to work with them really to build up this, just to build up the gap and try and escape. Meanwhile, my teammate's doing a good job in second. Has 91, the 2 VWs doing good at the start, but they've got they're quite thirsty cars, so they might start to come a cropper when the fuel tanks start to come under question. Sea Trickle up to 10th then in the toes. We've got Mental Mike in 11th, Tricky Tree, Fat Pickles, Bone, James Harben are 12th, 13th and 14th respectively. Marshall and Surf Rev, who is at this point I think about 20 seconds off the leader after having that wall moment earlier on. In terms of the top, Idol's still doing a good job where he is. Terry's gone just a little bit deep at the hairpin. It's going to give Has 91 the opportunity maybe to catch him. Ice Chand defending away a little bit now to the Viper of Phil. The Aston Martin will probably have the legs on the Viper down here and the inside line. Indeed, Chan does cut in nicely there. Phil not able to get a move made. You can see all those lot behind are vying for position. There's a big battle kicking off here for this position that Ice-Chan's currently occupying. The two Danish chaps in the Vipers are trying to swarm me as well. I'm just biding my time really. I didn't want to rush this move too much. I was watching Phil, he was keeping good pace. I wasn't necessarily getting massively slowed down by this. The leaders weren't escaping miles ahead, so I wasn't really that fussed, but find an opportunity for a move. Let's have a look back at how that one came to pass. So just on board with me. I think Phil braked a little bit early here for the hairpin, and if you can get hooked up on the inside, you can still carry good speed through the corner. So yeah, Phil brakes early, and I just basically throw one down the inside and give him the room at the apex, and we're all good to go. Phil is going to fight me back though. There's an Aston Martin in the way, so I couldn't fully complete the move, and I just kind of have to tuck back in here. Meanwhile, a little bit further ahead, Infinity Decals is trying to get one over on Has 91. My teammate Terence running up in second at the minute. He had a great qualifying. He had the opportunity to do quite a bit of testing for this track, so he's provided me with some good info during the week. And then, yeah, just an absolute cluster of cars as we come down here. Then I managed to get Chand here. As Chand has to take the wide line, and that's me up to 7th, still back behind Phil. Oh, Terry's gone deep. What's happened to Terry? So Terry's defending to those two. And it looks like he braked in good time, just the car didn't stop or slow down. I'm not too sure what happened there, but that is going to put Terence a little bit of a disadvantage. He's way down in 9th now, potentially even a little bit further back. And that did mean Phil had to get out of the throttle for a split second, so it's given me a run. So inadvertently that's actually helped me a little bit, so it's given me a run on the Viper, but for me it's really risky to take a dive at him here, so I don't do it, I back out of it. And Phil sort of lives to survive another day for the time being, so he continues on in 5th. I do have a look up the inside, but the move never really opens up for me, and I just back out of it. Idle's still leading the way up at the top, doing a good job in P1 with Has 91 in second, pressurised by Infinity Decals. He loves this circuit. I'm saying all the way through the week how much adoration he has for this track. It's not a firm favourite for us all, but he seems to enjoy it. I'm in a Viper sandwich. Ice-Chan not too far away from us. Mental Mike's doing a good job again. He's a really good pace round here, Mental Mike. Don't quite know what happened to him to be down in P9. Didn't really get qualifying off the mark, to be brutally honest with you, but in practice he had really good pace here. One of the top cars, I would say, is that Jaguar. Marshall, Tricky Tree, James Harbour. So these guys having a nice little battle at the back. I can't imagine the two Subarus will be kicking each other's teeth in too much. I've got C-Trickle for company in P16. C-Trickle's pitted already, so whether he's pitted already to get rid of the slow, whether he started on the medium time and he's pitted to get rid of it, I'm not too sure. I might flick the graphics on at the bottom actually in a moment and have a bit of a look at that. In fact, let's do just that. There we go, graphics at the bottom, so we can have that. So I can have a flick through. So Infinity Decal's doing a good job on his fuel. 2VW's struggling with fuel saving. Me and the Viper managing to save a decent amount as well. The Viper's actually seemed quite good on fuel saving as Gemini goes a little bit deep there. That's going to give Mental Mike and Ice-Chan the run, is it? Is Ice-Chan going to be able to get this? Ice-Chan is up the inside, and the number 99 Lemon and Lime Aston. That move made up. Meanwhile his teammates having a bit of a battle a bit further back between Fat Pickles Bro and James Harbour. He's not too far behind Terence either, my teammate, who is starting on the medium, so he's on the medium tyre. So he's getting that slower tyre out of the way quickly. Not many people starting on the medium. Mutt 36 is starting on the medium, which is probably why he's not sticking with the top guys so much, and he's actually getting caught by me and Phil now, because we're running pretty decent lap times, even though we're pretty much nose to tail. So quite happy with our pace, given that we're just battling away. These guys have pitted, aren't they? Looking at how fresh them tyres are, I'm going to guess they've pitted already. They've probably started on the mediums and pitted early to get rid of them, which would explain their slow lap 3 times and why they're so far back. And it's why there was C-Trickle who did the same thing as well. So yeah, they probably just got rid of the mediums early on. It made sense if they're at the back, to be fair. They might as well sort of do that. You'll notice I take that slightly wide sweeping line against Phil, and to be honest, it's just so I can visualise the road rather than anything else. I don't need to worry about, like, because I wasn't throwing a move up there, so I didn't need to worry about being right up his chuff at that point. I was quite comfortable with where I was. So if anything, it was just to make sure that me and Phil didn't start battling too much for no reason. The guys at the top running in the 52s in sort of way more clear air, on relatively fresh soft tyres, they can run a little bit quicker than we can. Infinity Decals doing a good job as it stands. He's got no one really pushing him, with Mutt 36 behind on the medium tyre. Mutt's doing a good job to be in the 53s on the medium tyre, in all brutal honesty. It's not an easy one to run quick times on. You still see me and Phil are glued together. Again, barely through this first stint, barely anything between us at all. Mental Mike's lap times are good, if anything he's slightly quicker than we are at the minute, so he may be trying to reel us in a little bit. Gemini made a little bit of a mistake last lap, you will have noticed, and then Ice Chance chewed them tyres up a little bit. Those tyres are very second hand. Terrence, what's he doing here? He's getting chased down by Fat Pickles, bro. Pickles is on the soft tyre. So in theory it should be a relatively easy move for the Porsche. This is the famous Fat Pickles Bro corner, aptly named because of a previous incident I'm probably not going to be talking about too much. So has that in one pits, 29% of fuel. Mutt pits with 29% of fuel. Mental Mike pits with 34. So the Jag's been able to save a lot more fuel. Whereas myself and Phil, we're carrying about 50% still. So we managed to save a lot more fuel. I've never been an advocate of fuel saving, but there we go. I've got Haz 91 behind me now. He's running on the mediums now, but he's also only doing a pretty short stint on it. So whether he actually manages to reel us guys in or not is another question. Me and Phil are still fighting a little bit, so he might well do that. Although 53.0 last time for me, 53.1 last time for Phil, so we're not exactly going slowly, we're still lapping good pace. We're actually lapping faster than the leaders at the minute. Just because in fairness, we weren't really holding each other up. It seemed like me and Phil had a mutual understanding through this first part of the race. It was quite cool. We were just like, look, let's just work together a little bit and see if we can do something through this first stint. Fastest lap of the race at the minute, I'll just go to the Aston Martin of Surf Red with 52.3. 52.330. So other people at the caravan park will be ecstatic with that. A long way to go in this race though. Mental Mike now out on the mediums. Tanks is doing a quite long medium stint here. He's been out on those tyres for, this will be the 7th lap now, and Fat Pickles were as eager to get that move made on him. So again, it will be a case of does Pickles just try and launch one down the inside of the Mercedes, who stays out for another lap on the slower tyre. The two Subarus the race should in theory come to them. We've got Mutt 36, who is on fresh soft tyres. So these should be relatively easy moves for Mutt 36, who's on the fresher rubber. Terry now having to battle away with the Porsche. Does Pickles just try and hang it around the outside, or does he go for the cheeky cutback? He's struggling to get a move made on the green Mercedes there. He does try and tuck it back in. Driving from Fat Pickles both so far. Again, someone where the race should just come to him later on. Look at this battle here brewing off between Ice Chand, Mental Mike and Terrence. Ice Chand's tyres are ruined now. So those softs have really fallen off a cliff. Mental Mike, despite being on mediums, they're still relatively fresh mediums. And he'll have all the traction in the world compared to Ice Chand. He practically drives up right behind him. Ice Chand has to sort of take evasive action off the circuit. That lets Terrence through to P8. Fat Pickles bro takes no second chances, gets himself straight back through. But Mental Mike with a good little move to get himself back in. This is before Fat Pickles bro corner comes into effect, and the Porsche gets a little bit of a wobble on. But a good move there from Terrence to get himself up there. We have got the leader in the pits now, so Idle comes into the pits. He's going to get rid of those softs. Infinity Decals then assumes the lead of the race. He's been out now on his 9th lap on those soft tyres. Myself and Phil carry on as we have been. We have been caught by Has 91. But again, like I said, we've only just started dropping a little bit of lap time. We've just popped into the 54s. I think our tyres are just starting to fall off a little bit now. 53.8 and then a 54.1 for Phil. I managed to sneak through there but run wide. Phil gives me the space, but I just run a little bit deep. So Has 91 manages to get his way through. So that was a mistake on my part. That lost me a little bit of time. But all I've really got to do at this stage is just bide my time a little bit, another lap or two. And then take the slower medium tyre on. Meanwhile, lap numero 9. Mutt's trying to work his way past these Subarus. If you remember, Mutt pitting a little bit later than they did. He's got slightly fresher tyres, but similar fuel levels, probably similar strategies in terms of what they're all ultimately looking to do. James goes a little bit deep here, kind of gives Mutt the opportunity to go around the outside, but this corner tightens up very quickly and Mutt goes for a gap that closes very fast. James is caught out by that, and unfortunately his Subaru driver is sent off into the realm. Recovers it nicely though. Subaru's off-road ability is certainly paying heed there. Tricky Tree takes the opportunity to snake one up the inside of Mutt. James losing a couple of seconds because of that, and yeah, Tricky's now up to P8, but Mutt might try and come back at him here. Mutt indeed looking down the inside of Tricky Tree, a bit of a down, makes the apex though. That was a good it was a lick the stamp and send it moment for Mutt there, but he pulled it off down the inside. And now the VW is back past the Subaru. Let's have a bit of a field recap. Things are getting jumbled up now because of pit stops, but one man who's due to take a pit stop soon is Infinity Decals. He has pretty much expired the fuel tank of that Porsche, expired the tyres of that Porsche, but he's putting in good laps, good consistent lap times at the minute from Infinity Decals, so he's doing a grand job so far. Myself and Phil still together as we always have been. It's a Danish-British love story that will echo through the ages, but we're starting to lose tyre performance now. We've got pretty similar tyre and fuel levels. The cars are pretty similar in how they operate, I guess, front engine rear wheel drive, so there's probably to be expected. Gemini's lurking as well, Yes, alright, up pitted from the lead is in P4 now. He's getting rid of his mediums, so maybe a 10-minute or so stint from him. Missed up Fat Pickles both on the back of the grid, of course. He's got rid of his mediums nice and early, so he's just on proper stints now. You'll notice I'm in the pits. Phil carries on, so I'm going for the undercut here. So I pit a little bit earlier than I ideally want to, but for me I was just losing too much tyre performance. But I had a plan for later on in the race, so that was, I just didn't want to waste too much time on those dodgy tyres. So Infinity Decals is now out, so is the SR Idol. So these two, this is a battle for the de facto race lead now. Pickles will have to pit in a couple of laps, but we know we'll just go on to onto another set of softs. C-Trick off on the back of the grid, similar to Pickles, he's going to have to pit again pretty soon. Mutt 36 is safe for a couple of laps yet. I'm out, mediums, half a tank of fuel, and I've come out just ahead of James Harben, who's on quite worn softs. So in fairness, James has probably got better grip than me at the minute, because these mediums aren't the best tyre in the world. Surf Rev on the mediums as well, nice short stint for him on those. Has 91 out on softs, Marshall on softs, Terence has been in, got rid of the medium tyre, he's now on the softs as well. Ice Chan on the mediums, Mental Mike now on the softs, and Tricky Tree now out on the softs. The Team Viper snipers, I'd expect these lads to pit very soon. Maybe even this lap, and then it's going to be a question as to whether I come out ahead of Phil or not. Because that last lap for 54.4 was a good lap for him, that last one round. This lap won't be far off that pace either, so he's going to come into pit, so he's Gemini. So Infinity Decals have to get past Idol, he's out in the lead of the race. Idol will assume P2, Mutt 36 P3, but he's not far away from needing a pit stop. And I'm out P4, so I do come out ahead of Phil. Try James with me, Surf Rev's out as well. So Phil actually... so Phil was running right next to me. He's now battling with my teammate in P10. So strategy's starting to play out. This track, very important on your tyres. If you start to lose your tyre performance, you lose a lot of time. So my strategy here was extend my first stint as much as I could. Gives me more options later in the race. I then opted to do a little bit of overfueling from my mediums, just to give me again a little bit more in terms of option, just depending where I came out, because I didn't know where the gap was going to be. And then I was going to make my decision at the 30-minute mark as to what exactly I wanted to do. I then made a decision to do another, to basically do 2 fast stints on softs, because the pit loss time would be pretty minimal, and it'd give me the best opportunities. Surf Rev there with a nice slingshot up the inside of James Harben. James now suffering with tyre issues. Those fronts are looking very, very raggedy. So he might well opt to come in this lap and just get rid of those things. House 91 has just set the fastest lap of the race of 52.2. But I'd expect when we're doing lighter fuel runs on softs later on, that time will probably come down. We're all fighting for position at the minute as well, so one of the reasons Phil's spent longer in the pits, he's gone back onto the soft tyre and he's put a lot of fuel in, so his strategy is completely different to mine. So it's why it's not really representative in where he's come out on track. Surf Rev in the pits, so is James Harben, predictably getting rid of those tyres. Yeah, the rule with the mediums is you have to do 3 time laps on them. I've done that. Yeah, I've done that as of the end of this lap, I think. Well, in fact, no, I've done an extra lap, effectively, haven't I? So yeah, done 4 laps on the mediums for me. But I wasn't getting bad pace out of them. 54.0 wasn't bad for the mediums. But decided that I would be better off sticking a set of softs on board and going a bit more full ham at it. Wanting ideally to come out in ahead of these guys if I could get away with that. So it looks like Infinity Decals are going to be getting rid of the mediums. I'd expect ESR Idle and myself to come in. Mutt looks like he needs to pit anyway because of fuel, so the top four at least are probably going to be peeling off into the pits, at least this time round. We'll just see where they all sort of come out. Different fuel levels between a few. I'm carrying a lot more fuel than the other guys were because I was just giving myself the option. It did slow me down a little bit on my stint, so in hindsight probably not the right thing to do. Has 91, he'll be carrying on. He's on the softs, half tank of fuel, running comfortably in the 52, so he's got good pace at the minute. Fat Pickles will also carry on, and so will the Viper Sniper team. They're early in their stint now, so they are we're at half distance. They probably need to pit again, but they're in a good position as they are. So where does everyone come out of the pits then? So ESR Idle comes out behind his teammate Mental Mike. Mutt 36 and Tricky Treat, they're having yet another battle. These guys have been battling a lot this race. Tricky's actually forcing him narrow. James Harbin there, then myself out in 12th. So I'm looking for another 20-minute stint ideally, although but probably a little bit less, and then again give myself the option. My strategy in this was pretty open, so I was thinking I could try and just do a standard two-stop strategy, but it doesn't always work out that clearly. So let's have a little bit of a field recap anyway, so we know where the grass is laying at the minute. So we've currently got Has 91 in first. They're definitely going to have to pit again with those with that fuel level. Infinity Decals, his strategy: quality laps all the way, just go as fast as you possibly can, and worry about fuel as and when you need to worry about it. Fat Pickles, bro, I think similar sort of strategy to me. Soft's half a tank of fuel at the minute for him. Gemini and Phil, both very similar strategies for Viper Sniper. 4th and 5th for these boys at the minute, with C Trickle in 6th in the Toyota. Mental Mike 7th in the Jag. He can't be too far away from a pit stop, mind. He pitted 5 laps ago. Probably another couple of laps for him. ESR Idle has just pitted. Mutt 36 might be actually having a look up the inside of ESR Idle, gets that move made on the Jag. Jag might go for the cutback though. Indeed he does. Jag's got some legs on it as the Jaguar. Tricky Tree's trying to keep involved in that little battle as well. He didn't pit with that lot, so he's just caught up to this lot by virtue of that. Then you got James Harbin and me. So it was me just getting my way past James there. Surfer 13th, Terrence in 14th, Marshall 15th, and Ice Chand in 16th place as it stands. So lots of this race still to unravel. There's still quite a lot going on in terms of strategy to deploy and all that. Really, we're only halfway through the race. We've got another 20 odd minutes remaining of this one yet. Forecasting to be about 26, 27 laps in total, so yeah, another 10, 11 laps at least. I could get on a full tank of fuel, I could probably get 10 laps of fuel out of it if I fuel saved. So yeah, most drivers I think will have to stop again if they're not stopping around now. So around this lap or next lap is where you'd probably want to stop if you want to go to the end. Probably be risking your tyres being dead at the end of it. So who's going to go for that? I'm not too sure. The two Vipers fighting away there. It's Gemini now ahead of Phil. That little battle has let C Trickle catch up to these boys. So C Trickle in the Toyota. These guys have gone for the FT1 today. They were using the Supra, but they've opted to take the FT1 just to see if it gives them an advantage. ESR Idle has remained ahead of Mutt after getting the switchback moved on a lap ago. now, yeah, I'm just trying to get onto the back of Tricky Tree, really. I've still got James Harbin right on my chuff. But the good thing is with these guys, I've driven with them a lot, I know the driving styles. It kind of helps us all out equally, I think, that we know how each other drives. We've driven with each other quite a lot. So yeah, it genuinely does help when it comes to race day, that you kind of know what to expect from the other driver and what sort of driver they are. Because you get that in real world racing as well, you get to know the different characteristics on the grid. Sim racing is kind of no different. Jump 9 Phil though, we'll be slowing each other up now. I would expect these boys to probably stretch this soft stint a little bit, probably about another 10 minutes at least, and then come in and get some fresh boots on, a little bit of a top up of fuel, and just see what they can extract out at the end of the race. We'll see Trickles trying to maximise his opportunities here, and get some moves made on the Vipers. 2 Jags running 7th and 8th. They've now got a Mutt all over them. Mutt's trying his damnedest to get a move made here on Idle. Idle's done a good job of defending that one coming out of the hairpin. He's having to alter his line as well coming down the hill. Looks like Mental Mike might have gone a little bit deep there. Yeah, that narrowed his... just look at the drive that ESR Idle's got on him here. Mutt's going to try and drive down in between them all. There's a little bit of contact as Mutt tries to get his way through, and Mutt's going to try and get the other Jaguar in the next corner. So the VW Dunkin' Donuts moves on everybody. Mutt up to 7th now, and again we've got more battling going on up ahead with the Toyota and the Viper. So see Trickle having to put up a fight against Gemini. That's letting Phil escape a little bit. A little bit further back you've got ESR Idle now trying to get to terms with Mutt and have another pop at that VW. Meanwhile I'm sat behind Tricky. This part of the course of Subaru's pretty decent, so it's hard to get a move made on Tricky without absolutely lunging one up the inside. So you'll notice me just hang back here and just wait. The Subaru wasn't going slowly, so there was absolutely no point in me launching a move up the inside. So I just opted to wait. As long as we weren't losing the guys ahead, I was pretty happy. I've got Mental Mike behind me now, but his tyres are absolutely shredded, so the Jaguar's not holding onto his tyres very well, is what we're gathering from this. The Subaru's done a decent job on its tyres. The Vipers and the Toyota still battling away. Nice little trains forming here. Has91 still escaping away, but he's going to have to pit now. Infinity Decals probably a couple of laps away from a pit stop. He's just done his personal best lap of the race, a 52.2. Pickles with a 52.6 is his best so far. I see Trickle now ahead of both the Vipers. Mutt ahead of the Jag. Tricky peels into the pits. That's going to release me to probably try and chase after Mutt and Idle. Again, I'm just at this point thinking of what my strategy would be. What would be the quickest way to close out the remaining 15 minutes of this race? What would be the fastest way to do it? Surf Rev up to 10th. Has91 after his pit stop now from leading the race down to P11, but he is now going to the end. Marshall, most cars in here are going to have to pit again. Tricky Tree's pretty safe to the end now. He's out in 14th, so is Mental Mike. But out of that, there's only 3 cars that we're pretty confident are going to be going to the end now. The rest of us are going to have to pit, and everyone's on slightly different fuel levels and slightly different tyre strategies up to this point. So it's all kind of mixed up now, but probably in about 5 minutes or so we'll get a true picture of what the ending's going to look like and whether any battles are going to go ahead. Rejoin the action. Lap number 20. Infinity Decal's still leading the way, but he's going to probably pit this lap. So we'll see Trickle, I'd expect. The Vipers could be a couple of laps away from pitting, but looking at the state of the tyres, they might be better off just to come in and get it done now. Myself, that stint for me, I've been just focusing on fuel saving. So I just want to give myself the best opportunity to leapfrog as many cars as I can in the pits. I've got Surfer behind me who's also looking close to a pit. Has 91 we know is going to the end. Fat Pickles bro has just pitted. And fresh set of softs on for him. He's now in 8th, but the good news for Fat Pickles is a lot of the cars that are ahead of him have still got a pit again. And he is now going to the end. Same can be said for ESR Idle and Mutt 36. Mutt just ran it a little bit wide out of a corner a moment ago. It just let ESR Idle back through again. James Harben has pitted. He's now out on the soft tyres. Tricky Tree, we know from earlier that he'd pitted. So is Mental Mike, so is Marshall, so is, in fact, Ice Chan needs to come in. Terrence has pitted though, he's not long since been in. In fact, I want to say it was that last lap that he pitted, so he's got just his time to make up now. So does Infinity Decals pit now? I think he does, yeah. Sea Tricker will also pit. There's going to be a question on what the Vipers do. Do they carry on? Yeah, so the Vipers are going to carry on. So Phil and Gemini, they'll assume the lead of the race. I pit as well, and I pit with 37% of fuel, so it's going to give me 38%, sorry, that's going to give me an advantage in the pits. I will close up time on everybody else. Fat Pickles Bro's coming through now. He should join. Where's his teammate? Where's Infinity Decals? There he is. Infinity Decals is now just ahead of Haz91. So we're starting to get a picture now. We're starting to see what might come up the end. We're 10 minutes away from the end. The two Vipers that are currently 1-2, they're going to have to pit again. Infinity Decals is the net lead of the race. So when they pit, he'll assume the lead. Not Mutt, has 91. He's in 4th at the minute, but it will be 2nd. Pickles is in 5th, but it will be 3rd. And myself in 6th, but that will be 4th. So again, with the fact that I started like 10th, I'm absolutely chuffed with this. Fat Pickles bro can say the same. He was pretty much from the back of the grid. So I think just by fuel saving, I think we've managed to climb our way up. Sea Trickle's had a good one so far. P7 for him at the minute. The Toyota team. But he's potentially going to be getting pressure from Mutt, Idle and James Harben, who are all... James looks to have a lot less fuel than anyone else, but they're all now out and they're going to be going for it. So a battle to be watching. Just has like one try and have a go at Infinity Decals. Where do the two Danish chaps end up when they come out? They might not pit. They've got enough fuel to be carrying on for another lap or two, but with 10 minutes remaining, it just makes sense to come in now. 5 laps on a set of softs is about right, so if they come in now, they'll be pretty sweet. But no, they carry on. So they're lapping in the 54s with the used tyres, whereas the rest of us now, I mean, we're all on out laps, so it's not really representative, but Hazard just banged in a 53.0, Pickles a 52.4. Me, that was an out lap, so it doesn't really represent. But basically, we're all on fresh soft tyres and going at it now, basically. 52.1 for Mutt, which is the fastest lap of the race so far. We know the cars have easily got 51s in them, we just haven't been pushing them to that degree. Most drivers setting good 52 laps as their fastest lap so far. So the chaps at the top doing the 54s and the 53s, that is going to drop them places when they do pit. Alright, so we've got a very interesting little bit of time ahead of us. I might start piling the pressure on Fat Pickles bro now. The Porsche's a good car around here, they can't argue otherwise, they're doing very well. But equally the Mercedes, to be fair, I don't enjoy the track, but the Mercedes actually seems quite good here. It seems to have good balance, didn't really ever feel a threat from the back end being loose. Yeah, it was a nice feeling car, to be fair. I just couldn't extract the most out of it. So at the minute I'm just trying to latch onto the back of Monsieur Pickles bro. Infinity Decals and Haz91 aren't a million miles away, they're just at the hairpin now, and me and Fat Pickles probably a second or two behind them. So the net top 4 in a sense aren't all that far apart. We're pretty much on the same little bit of tarmac. I'd imagine the Viper lads will come in now. I'd imagine they'll be exceptionally fast on their last stint as well, so it might be interesting to see where they come out. Yeah, they do pit. They're definitely going to lose spaces out of the top 4, because it is Infinity Decals has 91, Pickles and me. Yeah, as I set 52.0 as well, so you can see the pace we've got. I'll look down the inside of Pickles, but he covers it off nicely actually. He gets on the brakes really late and covers it off, so I am unable to get that move done. But let's just keep an eye on this, because I actually can't remember. I'm recording this on a Friday. This race actually happened on Tuesday, so I do forget what happens. Do I go for... This was my favourite place to make a move. The car felt really good around the inside here. Fat Pickles just runs it a little bit wide. Does place me up into P3. Fat Pickles carrying a little bit more fuel than I am. Me and Has 91 similar fuel levels. And it's always hard to sort of calculate in these races exactly how many laps you're going to do. I was planning on 26. That was my pit stop sort of gamble. Whereas Pickles planned on 27. So I see Trickle's done the same thing. And you see how tight it is, even in the midfield. Like Mutt, Gemini, Idle, James Harben. Those places are all still up for grabs. Tricky Tree's not far away as well. He's battling away with Surfer Ev. Surfer on the fresher tyres now. Running in the 51s is the famed man from the Caravan Park. He's going to try and throw one round the outside of Tricky Tree here. Tricky Tree does cover it off by getting to the apex nicely. Surfer just has to tuck back in. Mental Mike, tyres are looking in a bit of a bad way. Don't know whether he'll bother coming in to change those with only a few laps remaining, but he's got Marshall behind him. Marshall's back end on that Toyota's getting a bit loosey-goosey. Terrence no longer running at the back of the field. He's 15th for the minute, but there might be a few cars that might just pit ahead of him, so never know for Terrence. Infinity Decals keeping that gap to Has 91 relatively consistent. Where do the Danish lads come out? So they're out in 5th and 8th. So they've come out in the middle of that pack, yeah. So right in the middle of all that battling. Pickles still following me around. He'll be just managing his situation in a minute until he's certain of what's going to happen towards the closing laps. He's just sort of monitoring and watching and waiting like a shark, setting purple sectors as he goes. That's for Infinity Decals, Mr. Quali Laps. Keeping that gap to Has 91 nice and consistent. Dave just pushing, he's pushing nicely now. He's I've not seen him do that before. Phil having to get defensive then against the Turtle. Sea-Trickle just run it down to the lower part of that circuit. Does turn into the outside pretty quickly though, but he does well to get that move sort of solidified before the Viper can relaunch an attack. Mutt, no room at the end for Mutt to try and make a move. He's going to make the cutback work against Phil though, so that is a nice move by Mutt. I don't know if he'll be able to hang it around the outside here. He's going to try. It's the slower way around that corner, but Mutt with the VW, which is an excellently handling car, can just get that done. It does lack power in the straights, but it does handle nicely then. So Mutt with a nice bit of driving there, it must be said, and Sea-Trickle with an even nicer bit of driving just to sling it back up the inside. He's back up to 5th, but this battle is far from over. Mutt will come back at him. Yeah, Mutt now P5, so Sea-Trickle's at risk here of losing this gap to Phil, because Phil's got what is essentially the inside for the overtaking spot here. He's my favourite spot, the second hairpin. So down the inside goes Phil, goes very deep though, and Mutt can cut him back. Sea-Trickle might not be able to take advantage there. We've got a left-hander coming up next, so that's going to make Phil's job of defending that a little bit easier. With this track you have to plan your moves a couple of corners in advance just to make sure you're giving your car the best chance of getting exits from vital corners. If you don't do that, and yeah, James Harben's going to have to pit, I think. gone off to splash and dash, that car. The problem is that's going to bring him out near the back. Let's have a look. So gap between these guys pretty similar. I've just took the fastest lap of the race, which is now 51.9. So I'm still holding off to Pickles. It's sort of at this point that I realised that we have actually got 27 laps now because of the pace at the top. Because we're all running in the 51s and the 52s, we're going to end up getting across that line. So if you're looking at the timer at the bottom left, it's got to have a minute and 50-ish remaining, and I just cross it at that point. So by the time I get round next time, I'll have to set another lap. So sort of conscious of that, so I start fuel saving a little bit again. I was eager to put a charge on Has 91. Definitely felt like I had the pace. He's running now in the 53s because of his tyre situation. Definitely had the legs on the VW at this part of the race, but I just couldn't always sort of push for that. And Pickles now knows he will probably get across the line for that 27th lap. These guys might be safe. It might be these guys' last race, so this fight that's currently being fought now with Mutt on the threshold of running out of fuel, so he's at risk of losing that P6 to Phil, ESR Idle and James Harben. James also on the brink of fuel, but like I said, he should make it in time for the 26th lap, so he shouldn't have to do an extra one. Yeah, so me and Has marginal on our fuel. So it was at this point, this exact point, that I started worrying just a little bit, knowing that I'd underfueled my car. Infinity Decals is home clear. He's now just extending that gap because Has is having to fuel save. Probably trying to not lean on his tyres quite as much. I'm reeling Has in at a rate of knots at this point, even with my short shifting. So watching the timer, 49.50, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Timer has now elapsed. C Tricker will make it across the line as the first finisher in P5. Phil, P6. ESR Idle, P7 in the end. DRL Gemini in P8. That was a very close finish between him and James Harben. Did James run out of fuel? So Gemini's got a decent amount of fuel. James is on fumes. I wonder if he runs out here. So it's very close between these guys, but it's not what I'm necessarily interested in at this minute in time. So we're watching Gemini. Yeah, James runs out of fuel, look, I think. Very close finish between those two. Surf Rev in 10th. Mutt's going to bring it in 11th. He did run out of fuel. Yeah, so he's out. He's out already. He's going to get absolutely swamped. It's unfortunate for Mutt. Does Mental Mike pick up that space as well? No, he doesn't. So Mental Mike in 12th. Marshall 13th. Tricky Tree 14th. Terence in 15th. It's been a bad day at the office for Terence. He wasn't happy after this one because of the invisible pit wall glitch that he ended up falling victim to. And Ice Chand is going to be home in 16th. So let's just rewind the action a little bit to where the top guys started their lap. So back with Infinity Decals. So to give you a bit of the lore, a little bit of the history of this saga. So your protagonist here is Infinity Decals. He could seal the win here today just by bringing it home across the line. Has 91 on the verge of running out of fuel. In fact, that might happen sooner rather than later, to be fair, looking at his fuel tank. I'm all over him like a fat kid on a cupcake, but I've also got to be careful of my fuel as well. Has 91, yes, he indeed does run out of fuel at this point, so no more juice in the tank for Has, and that will gift Fat Picklesbro the P3. Fat Picklesbro may also be gifted a P2 here as well, because I just simply haven't got enough fuel to make the lap. I will end up running out of fuel during this lap. It is just a case of when, so I'm just trying to coast as much as I can, short shift where I can, but kind of resign myself as well to the fact that Pickles will end up taking this off me, but that's fine. He put more fuel in, so it's my damn fault for not putting enough in. So yeah, just like, there we go. It's not far off going. So you can see how much Pickles is reeling me in now. And the tank is empty on the Mercedes. Yeah, so agonisingly close to the finish line, just a handful of corners away, but at the same point, you know, it is what it is. It's racing. So I do get on comms and tell Pickles about my situation, so he was aware it was going to happen. But maximum plaudits to this man, Mr. Infinity Decals himself. The man who sponsors the league. He's, I want to say this is his first win. I might be wrong in that, but just let me know in the comments, Dave, if it is your first win. If so, congrats. But basically his strategy was just go hard, just quali laps the entire way. So that is going to be a Porsche 1-2 at Alsace. They're slowing down for the nice little photo at the end. So Porsche 1-2 there. I'm going to call home third, and Has91 going to be fourth in the end. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time. We'll actually do the driver point stuffing now, actually, so we'll jump to that. So a quick look at the race results then. Let's put everyone across the line. Porsche 1-2, myself grabbing the fastest lap, and Has91 with the qualification extra point as well. So a good result for the Porsche team, not all doing well in the manufacturer standings in a moment, but let's see where that leaves the drivers. Pickles 90 points, me 75. You can see all the points there, but Pickles does look to be pulling out a lead, but very close in the middle of the pack. As for the manufacturers, this is getting close as well. So Porsche on 136, Mercedes on 115, but Dodge and VW on 86, so get very close there as well. Next week, back in the Group 4 machinery. Tune in.